What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the Cutlass Board Games channel. I'm Keith, a full-time game designer. That's the thing that I do, and I kind of just do YouTube as a little bit of a hobby on the side because it lets me play a whole bunch of games and show them off to the communities I'm a part of. The reason why I wanted to come and talk about the new Project K, the League of Legends card game, is that me, as both an avid player of playing Magic the Gathering for more than 10 years, and then now a lot of my focus coming towards the Pokemon TCG, this original trailer raised a lot of red flags for me, and I did kind of want to come and talk about it. But before I get into the things that I'm worried about with the game, I want to kind of go and talk about what some of the stills that we did get to see in the trailer and kind of give you my best hunch as to how the game is going to be played based on what little information we have. Because I feel like if you don't want to hear me shitting all over the game, you can at least get something of value out of this video where I talk about how it might be played to give you some idea if this is something for you. But let's start off with some easy how to play the game stuff. In the trailer, they showed us this card, the Windswept Hillock, and it gives us a couple of different keywords here. You can see behind my head we have the word units, which is creatures or whatever, akin to Magic the Gathering. But the battlefield is kind of a key space. This is a thing that you're going to be fighting over. This is how points is going to be assigned. This is something like Marvel Snap, where Marvel Snap has the static 3 locations, and then upon the conclusion of the game, the person who's winning 2 of the 3 locations wins the game. I think this will be different. I think it will be more of a campaign rather than, okay, these are the locations, this is who wins. They mentioned in it that one of the players had received 8 points, and that was the thing that caused them to win the game, which makes me think that you have to win several battlefields to stay correct over the course of the game in order to score enough points to be determined the winner. And we do get to see 2 different ones on them. And this one here, again, behind my head, has the Conquer keyword, which I think has either two options of what that could be. Conquer is either winning the whole location at the end of a round whenever a winner is decided on a location. It might be a break point where it's like if you hit this number first you win, or at a certain determined time, which is like once it returns to the first player's turn, we check who is the leader on the thing, which would make sense. But because discard 1, draw 1, after you scoring a whole point, one of your 8 points, seems not great. So my hunch is actually Conquer is going to be when you become the new points leader. So if you were the first person to play onto it, you would activate the discard 1, draw 1. If somebody then played something bigger than you, they would then get to activate it. And then if you played something bigger than them, adding the score of your previous card, you would get to activate it again, which is basically like, hey, if you fight over this location, you get the upside of filtering through your deck quicker, which I think makes more sense as to how this is supposed to function. Next is the card layout. We didn't get to see too much about the card layout, but I just kind of wanted to point out some of the, the main obvious things. At the top left looks like the resource cost. This card you can see has the blue background behind the white 5, which I believe it might mean it requires the blue resource to cast, which I'll get to in a second. On the right hand side, we have the card's power that it will attribute to a lane. You can see with the classic Riot logo there with that. So I believe that if I played the Blazing Scorcher onto a lane, it would contribute 5 points towards me potentially winning that location. And then you can see in the middle there, we've got a highlighted word. This is kind of similar to the Lorcana layout, but that's where all the keywords and stuff are going to be, and that's where the ability text of the card is going to be. And then at the bottom, which is not like most TCGs, but at the very bottom is where the card's name is going to be. And in this case, it's the Blazing Scorcher. And then here, we had a couple of shots of the table. And what I think is interesting here is we've got, you can see here on the left, is a pile of purple cards. Oh, this is a blurry one. I'll have a better one in a second. And then another one, which is a pile of green cards. And I believe that they all come from a white-backed resource deck. We actually saw a shot in the trailer where it had several different deck backs. I believe one of them is a resource deck, so rather than Magic where all your cards are shuffled together and just eat shit if you don't draw the ones that you need to play all your spells, I believe this one's going to have 2 different decks, one which is like super generic and things like Pokemon Energy cards where they just come out in a bundle and you're like, that's fine. I need this many to be able to play this deck. That's not a big deal. I don't actually have to really worry about a whole product for that thing. will have a separate resource deck, and then you can see the deck that has the kind of the standard back is going to be the abilities deck where all your character cards and stuff come from. I also have a hunch that, like the Star Wars Unlimited TCG, where you have a leader, this game is going to be similar, because you're like, oh, I'm playing the Yasuo deck, here's my Yasuo. Kind of makes sense. And so I think that ostensibly the starter packs that you buy will come with a person and like a bunch of cards of their faction, and then like a resource deck that it's going to start out with. All of this is kind of straightforward. Now here's the better shot of it. You can see along the bottom they have a pile of blue cards, which is different from the other player who had purple and green ones. And then you can also see, it's backwards for me, up here we have orange and red. This was the player that I believe had the Scorching Dragon in their hand, and they have both orange and red cards. This one has blue, and you can see a ring around the colored icon is in yellow for some of them and in blue for some of them. So I suspect there might be a pile of yellow cards behind the shoulder that we can't quite see. And we're looking at two colored decks for resource systems where you can see that no cards in the hand are resource cards like they're on the table. So I think it might come directly from the resource deck and into play, and then you get a certain amount each turn, and that kind of scales. Like in Hearthstone, where you're granted a crystal every turn. There might be cards that make you ramp faster or whatever, but they become the resource that you use to play all of your spells. This sort of solves the, oh no, I can't do my things because I didn't draw the resource card problem. It's not a super elegant solution, but it does seem to be okay in like removing that problem from existing. And then you are all just kind of still limited to how many things you can do by what number of resources you have. You can see some of the numbers actually on the cards are quite big. I'm seeing 6, 7, and 8. And that's going to be like, well, if I'm getting 2 per turn, I can play 6 on the 3rd round, I guess. Kind of makes sense. But let's get to the next thing, which this is the larger table setup. So this is one that kind of solidified the 3 battlefields thing for me, more like the Marvel Snap system. You can see in the center here the 3 battlefields themselves, each of which looks like they have 1 card committed to them, some of which are sideways, some of which are not in orientation to the player. I'm unsure if that's relevant or not. But you can also see the different colors of energy in front of each of the different players. So it looks like you're going to be taking your card, it's going to contribute a power, you're going to be picking one of the battlefields to play it on. Depending on when the round is finished, you are going to collect points for which battlefields you completed, and then maybe that battlefield will get replaced with a new one. So there might be like a neutral deck that contains all the battlefields, or players commit cards to a battlefield, so they have some control over what's in there. I'm not fully sure. I'm assuming that's the 3rd deck that they showed in the 3-deck screenshot. I think all of this is fine. I don't think the actual game design is the problem. My issue with the game comes from this in particular. You can actually see in the bottom left-hand corner on the Windswept Hillock that it has the set initialism, I guess, FND, and then 297, 298. So this is going to be a first set which has 298 cards. And most of them are repeated art from Legends of Runeterra or just character splash art, which is extra strange because character splash art and stuff is updated over time. They're literally doing reworks for some characters at the moment, and in a card game like a TCG, you don't have the ability to update digital assets. But my main issue with this and recycling all of this stuff is the same issue that people have with generating products in this space using AI. Because if you didn't believe enough in the product to spend the money to get the good art to make the product look good, then why do I believe that you're invested enough in the product for it to be good? Riot Games is a fucking gigantic company with billions of dollars. Why did you have to recycle art assets on the first set, the set that you need to hook all of your players, convince them that this is a good game to get invested into and start playing over Magic the Gathering? Over Magic the Gathering, something that already has a very, very high component quality and insanely high art standards, and every time somebody does something even minorly a problem, Magic is like, no, that guy is sacked, don't worry about it, we'll never hear from him again. This is what we're trying to do to uphold this standard. And I went through the trailer and I picked out a whole bunch of the different cards, and you can actually just see that it's not just like 1 or 2. They went out of their way in the trailer to show us a lot of Legends of Runeterra cards that are identical, and then also the character splash is just identical. Like, isn't Victor literally receiving a visual effects update right now because of Arcane? And so we have the classic splash art as his main card in the thing. Like, you couldn't just go, oh, we know this is changing, I'm just going to get a new one illustrated for the game. That seems really strange to me. And same Volibear classic splash. This one here is the Dead Bloom Wanderer. I went through and had a look at a whole bunch of them, looked up the LOR directory and found a whole bunch of different cards that are on there. I'm sure pretty much all of them exist somewhere already. And it was really hard for me to find new character art when they showed quite a few number of cards. So if the whole point is to take, I don't know, the failed Legends of Runeterra, take all of the art assets that they commission for that and then pump them into a physical TCG, recycling every single thing, having no new content, is not giving me a lot of faith that they believe in this product. Like, I can understand if they were doing it for, like in-house playtesting, or this is just the playtest kit, or this is an incomplete full set or something like that, had they mentioned it in their trailer. But looking at it is kind of concerning, because if the whole first set, all 300 cards, is all recycled art, what happens in set 2? What happens in set 3? Why should I be convinced to buy into your card game that the only thing you've added is graphic design in like a single template, change the color for the 8 colors I think there is, and put all of your art back onto there again? That I can do that. I could do that personally. I could rip all these art assets and recreate the game myself, knowing that all the art assets exist online already. I don't see the point in why I'm supposed to think that this has value. And part of a trading card game, like if you look at the Pokemon TCG, they first of all have insane component quality. All of the foil cards are really, really high quality. The way that the foiling is designed on the cards and all this kind of stuff is really good. And then they have all of the base art, and then they have all of the like really advanced special flourish art and stuff like that, which is like really impressive, right? And obviously we're not going to see any of that in the first release trailer, but is that a thing that's going to exist? Are we going to have premium cards that look good? That's the whole point of the chase of the TCG. Do we know that there's going to be boosters or anything, or is it just going to be like a whole box set that has everything akin to Netrunner? And it just kind of rubs me the wrong way. If it's me, right? If I'm making a product and I'm reusing a whole bunch of old art, which is a thing I have done. Castles of Kalira and Cutlass TCG exist in the same universe, so it made sense to port over some of the cards from Castles of Kalira for them to exist in Cutlass. Because also, I am a broke person. I do not have billions of dollars to redo all the art in different ways. I'm trying to make a product exist when I have nothing. So for me, it makes sense. But in doing that, in making the new game, I commissioned a whole bunch of really good, sexy art, and that new stuff that I commission is the stuff that I show off in all the footage and all the content in demos and playtests and stuff. I showcase these cards in particular, right? Because anyone that's played the other thing, they're going to go, oh, cool, this is kind of here, but look at all this cool new stuff. They didn't do that at all. They weren't like, check out this cool new art of Jinx or Yasuo or Victor. They're like, nah, here's the splash screen we've had for 12 years or whatever. And you're like, why? What is supposed to make me think you care about this product? You are trying to convince me to play it. Why? Why do I think that this recycled product is going to be something that I should be excited about? But as you can see, I'm obviously a bit upset because I was really looking forward to the League of Legends card game when it was first announced to be a China exclusive, like way back. And I feel kind of let down. So if you're feeling the same, let me know. Get in the comments. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe this is just what the demo decks look like. Maybe this is just what to teach you how to play free decks like Magic does, is what they look like. They really need to show us some more to convince me otherwise. But at this point, I'm feeling kind of let down. I'm feeling like the altered TCG is already going to do everything the League of Legends card game is going to do and is doing it better. So it's going to take a lot to convince me to be into this game. But please, if you're feeling the same, let me know. I don't want to feel like I'm on an island. So get in the comment section and argue with me about it. Let me know what's happening. Because look, I'm worried. I'm really worried that this is going to suck and it's going to be a cash grab. And it's currently looking that way.